What was Joe Biden's closing argument over the midterms? No more drilling? Gonna shut down coal plants? Yes, that's what he said.
No more drilling. There is no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling. No,
No more drilling. No more drilling. You know, the oil and gas industry employs a boatload of people. Already, we're having gas prices twice as high as they were 2 years ago because of the war on drilling. So what does Joe Biden want to do, even as gas is one of the top issues voters are concerned about during the midterms? No more drilling. And if that isn't enough, we're going to get rid of all these dastardly coal plants.
I was in Massachusetts about a month ago on the site of the largest old coal plant in America. Guess what? It costs them too much money. They can't count. No one's building new coal plants because they can't rely on it, even if they have all the coal guaranteed for the rest of the existence of the plant. So it's going to become a wind generation. And all they're doing is going to save them a hell of a lot of money, and using the same transmission line they transmitted the coal-fired electric on. We're going to be shutting these plants down all across America.
So, no more drilling. We're going to be shutting down coal plants all across America because the president says can't make any money. There's not a market force for it. If all of that is true, why did Karine Jean-Pierre walk it back?
We don't often get a very lengthy Saturday statement from you clarifying the president's remarks from the day prior. Can you walk through what the genesis of that was and whether or not you guys thought that perhaps it would be politically problematic had those statements been allowed to stand?
So we just wanted to be, you're talking about so we just wanted to be very clear on that.
Now, whenever she says, we just want you to be very clear on that, that means we're going to get unclear and very ambiguous. Watch.
Which is why we put out a statement. It seemed like there was some confusion on that. And so, I want to say this.
It seemed like there was confusion on that, but I want to say this. Okay, what do you want to say?
Some of you were there.
Some of you were there. Some of you weren't there. But I want to say this. There was some confusion. That's why I put out a statement. But I want to say this. Some of you were there and some of you weren't there. But here's my statement.
It was loud and hard to hear.
Some of you were there, some of you weren't there. It was loud and hard for you to hear, but if you weren't there, it probably wasn't too loud because you weren't there. So here's a statement I want to put out. What?
I think, or maybe not.
Or maybe not. It's hard to say. I might want to put out a statement. I may not. I want to be very clear. Some of you were there, some of you were not. It was kind of loud, so hard to say.
Exactly what, oh,
good Lord. Can we just get it out?
What was being said, but I currently...
So, it's unclear what was being said, but I want to be very clear. That's why I put out a statement. Some of you were there, some of you were not. It was very hard to hear, but I want to say this about that.
You don't want to get into punditry from here. And and why we did it, or do it, or...
This is painful. I'd rather have root canal. I'd rather stick needles in my eyeballs.
Paid or did it on TV, but I spoke to this over the weekend. The president's words, we believe, were twisted.
President's words, we believe, were twisted.
And we were very clear about that. And anyone...
We were very clear about him having his words twisted.
Who knows Joe Biden knows he comes from a coal country.
So he didn't mean it when he said we're going to shut down the coal plants?
From Scranton, Pennsylvania. His great-grandfather was a mining engineer.
Right, but did he or did he not say we're going to cut down the coal plants? We know it from Scranton. We know his uncle was a mining engineer. His dad was a mining engineer, yada blah, etc. Did he or did he not say we're going to shut down coal plants? Karine Jean-Pierre.
As you all know, President Biden knows that the men and women of coal country built this nation, and he has spent his presidency fighting for coal communities so that they too can benefit from.
So he didn't mean it when he said we're going to shut down coal plants.
The energy transition we're in right now. Again, the reason why we put out that statement to you asked me about the genesis. We believe his words were twisted, and we just wanted to make sure there was some clarity.
Let's hear his twisted words again, shall we?
I was in Massachusetts about a month ago on the site of the largest old coal plant in America. Guess what? It costs them too much money. They can't count. No one's building new coal plants because they can't rely on it, even if they have all the coal guaranteed for the rest of the existence of the plant. So it's going to become a wind generation. And all they're doing is going to save them a hell of a lot of money, and using the same transmission line they transmitted the coal-fired electric on. We're going to be shutting these plants down all across America.
It sounded to me, now, of course, I wasn't there. Some of you were there, some of you weren't there. I was one of those who wasn't there, so I wasn't there. But it sounded like he said we're going to be shutting down these coal plants all across America, except his words were twisted, said Karine Jean-Pierre. Now, that's a lot of jobs. Yeah, the industry is in decline for all sorts of reasons, but that's a lot of jobs. And right now, Biden says we're going to close down coal plants. And this is his closing argument during the midterms. Now, the Republicans are making huge gains with Black and Latino voters. Some are calling it a paradigm shift. I've been talking for decades that sooner or later, Black and brown people are going to stop thinking of themselves as victims. They're going to stop buying to the notion that they are being oppressed by systemic racism. There is a Harvard sociologist named Orlando Patterson in the 90s. He's still there, tenured professor. Back in the 90s, he said that America, with all its flaws, is the least racist majority society in all of the world, provides more opportunities, better benefits, better protections, and greater wealth to Black people than any country in the world, including all of those of Africa. Now, the reason Hispanics are coming up here, many of them have come up here, sometimes legally, sometimes illegally, is because America is systemically racist. Please. But that's the game, the con the Democrats have been playing over and over and over again. And you can't have it both ways. You can't have a society full of wokeism. You can't have a society where virtually every industry, every segment of our society is infused with diversity, inclusion, and equity. You can't have professors being canceled because they say the wrong thing. You can't have a Georgetown professor losing his position because he suggested that Joe Biden made a mistake by suggesting the Supreme Court nominee he wants should be a Black female. This professor said that he should be talking about the best qualified person. And all of a sudden, his position was threatened. He apologized, still lost his position. That happens all over America. Virtually every segment of our society is infected with wokeism,